Well, that was one that got away. 49ers 24, Packers 21. Green Bay's season again ends in heartbreak, something that has been all too common in the playoffs over the last, really 15 years since that Super Bowl 45 win. He's John Miller. I'm Brandon Kinnard. Glad you're with us. It's a safe space. Let's let it all out. Got my phone here. I'll try to read any comments you guys leave throughout the course of this. But my first thought is the Packers had chances to win that game. Many, many chances. Jordan Love wasn't good enough in the second half. The missed field goal hurt him. Defense held on for as long as they could until that last drive. But it's on the offense and the special teams, I think, because they had opportunities to win and didn't take advantage of it.
Yeah, they had basically 3 drives to put the game away, and they just couldn't do it. Jordan Love missing third down throws. Yeah, the miss to Aaron Jones, I think, was the biggest one. And then the interception to basically end the game. You know, we talked about it before we came up here. 60% of the game, or at least the first half, there was throws where Love really looked like he was cooking. Second half, he just, what did I say before we came in here? Before our show at 6. Don't be the hero. Instead, he looked just like Brett Favre in the 2009 NFC Championship game, thrown across his body.
Vikings Brett Favre.
Vikings Brett Favre, thrown across his body,
what
getting
about
picked
Brett Favre in the 2007 NFC Championship game against the Giants?
Absolutely. But this was like mirror image, you know, across his body, throws across. It's just, it's tough. And I think the biggest stat for me is Kyle Shanahan had never won a game with the 49ers when they were trailing by 3 or more in the fourth quarter. They were 0 for 30.
Now they're 1 for 31.
Now they're 1 and 31.
Yeah, they were trailing by 7. They hit the field goal right at the beginning of the fourth quarter to cut it to 4.
Yep.
Yeah, they were trailing by 7 at the end of 4 quarters. There's Dre Greenlaw, you see there, who had the not 1 but 2 interceptions in the game, one of them leading to a field goal, the other obviously sealing the game as Love throws back across the field. You can't make that throw. It's only second down. You've got time yet. There's no need to force that.
2 timeouts left.
Yeah, you can't make that throw. It felt, and I said this to you throughout the course of not just the end of the game, but really this entire second half, or at least the last quarter and a half, it felt like October again a little bit. Before Love turned it on and got hot and caught that heater, he was missing easy throws you thought he should have made. He was throwing interceptions, and he had, much like the Raiders game, much like the Broncos game, on the road, a chance to lead a game-winning drive and just couldn't do it in those clutch moments. The dude's great. He was outstanding for a stretch there. He has proved he's the quarterback of the future.
Absolutely.
But that was a rough finish to the game for him.
It was a really tough finish. And like you said, he kind of reverted back to that first half of the season of Jordan Love, but he picked the worst time to do it. You know, it's a lot of pressure on him. It's his first season ever as a starter. It's his first playoff experience. It's tough. It's tough. And, you know, you can't put it all on Jordan, but a lot of it was he had chances to win them the game. They had the chance to put the game away, as LaFleur said. And then, you know, in his post-game press conference, he just said, this one's going to sting for a while.
21 of 34, 194, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. No sacks. The final line for Love, 72.4 passer rating. You know, we talk so much about how they're playing with house money. Nobody expected them to be here. This playoff experience is a bonus compared to how we thought the season would end just a couple of months ago. But at the same time, you don't know how many of these chances you're going to get. And we've learned that over the last decade and a half, right? Nobody thought Aaron Rodgers would end his Packers career with just that 1 Super Bowl.
Right.
You don't know how many of these opportunities you're going to get. So, yeah, we could say they're young, they're still growing, this is better than we thought they do. At the same time, they should be going to the NFC Championship right now.
The better team lost today. The 49ers...
He firmly believes that, too.
The better team lost today. I mean, the 49ers may have just come out looking cold. They had that basically two and a half weeks off. And the Packers came out hot. And the 49ers, Brock Purdy did not look like a good quarterback at all today. He had some wild throws, but a lot of bad throws. The Packers had the better quarterback. The Packers had the better team. The Packers' defense was impressive for most of the game. It just, you know, when you give your offense so many opportunities, that offense should go out there and win. And the defense kept making stop after stop after stop, and they couldn't get it done.
Here's that Christian McCaffrey game-winning touchdown. He finished the game with 2 touchdowns, the long one early in the second half, and or was it late in the first half? Honestly, I don't even remember. It's all jumbled at this point. But either way, 2 touchdowns for McCaffrey in the Packers win. I thought the 49ers win over the Packers. I thought they bottled him up okay for a majority of the game. I mean, the big question now, I think, is going to be, as far as the defense goes, what do you do about Joe Barry? Because he was the scapegoat 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. Everybody wanted to point to him after the Buccaneers game, even after the Panthers game that they ended up winning. Everybody wanted Joe Barry fired. But then they rattle off 3 really good performances in a row. Pretty good against the 49ers tonight, I thought. He might have saved his job here over the course of the last month or so.
Absolutely, and I think, like you said, earlier this season, he looked like a guy who, he was going to be hung out to dry at the end of the year. His contract's up at the end of the year. But in this game, in this stretch, he looked like he might keep his job. Now, his contract is up after the season. Now it's up to the Packers if they want to keep him, up to LaFleur. But Barry, I think, called a good game today. He dialed up some pressure. Those didn't always hit home. But he had guys in the right spots at all the time. And I know we hear that all the time. We're like, no, it was just Joe Barry. He wasn't calling the right defense. But on Christian McCaffrey's first touchdown, Darnell Savage had him in the hole. And then he tries to arm tackle him a little bit. If he just straightens up and he goes at him, and he causes
demonstrate.
If he just goes at him, if he just causes him to move just a little bit more, another guy's there to clean it up. And it just wasn't there. He had the guys in the spots. And the defense made all the stops they needed to do in order to win the game. And I think Matt LaFleur would tell you, if you hold the San Francisco 49ers to 24 points, you should win the game.
I saw a lot of people saying, too, LaFleur mismanaged the clock at the end of the game. Maybe should have taken the timeouts earlier to get more time. He left himself with 1:10 seconds, 3 timeouts, needing 3 points.
Absolutely.
I thought they played that right. Now, McCaffrey scored on the first play of the goal to go. He scored on 1st and goal. I think if he doesn't, then you start taking the timeouts there.
Right, because what if you take the timeout and there's 1:40 seconds left, they get the first down and not a touchdown, then you might not have any timeouts in about 30 seconds. I didn't get the
I thought he played it right at the end.
Absolutely.
They had more than enough time. 1:10, 3 timeouts, that's no sweat, right?
LaFleur coached a heck of a game. His offensive game plan, his guys just didn't execute today. That youth showing, Love kind of just reverting back to a little bit of old Love. There's some stuff he's got to clean up, but LaFleur coached a great game.
2-minute drill is a place where Love has to get better because he didn't deliver there during the regular season. Even you think back to training camp, they end most practices with a 2-minute drill, and that was a storyline back in the summer, is he's not good enough in these late-game, end-of-game situations, and that's a spot that they're going to have to certainly look to improve. He's so good in the scripted situations, and he can make the off-schedule plays as well, but we saw him struggle, I think, in clutch moments throughout the course of the year. The dude's 25. He's you would think going to have more chances, but it hurts to let one slip away like that.
Yeah, the NFL Network sideline reporter, I think she is, tweeted a video of Love walking off the field after the game. It looks like Love looked down, but he looked like a guy who knew that he was going to use this as fuel to get better in the future. And if there's anybody we've seen grow a lot from his past mistakes and just throughout from where he started, it's Love. Love can grow he can grow from this game.
And what do we always say? He never gets too high, never gets too low, right? He is a very even-keeled young man. And I think that certainly applies in this situation. He's not going to be throwing his helmet, crying at his locker or anything after something like this, because that's a guy who's been through a lot on and off the field in his life, and he knows life goes on.
Right, and I'm sure he's at the podium right now. I can't wait to go back and listen to exactly what he has to say, and I bet you he takes a lot of the blame because he's that kind of player, and the guys love him. And he's going to be – I'm excited about the future of this Green Bay Packers team.
Next time he takes the field, he's going to be a rich man. Let's say that.
Yep, absolutely. He's earned every penny of it, too.
He already is a rich man in comparison to all of us. But he'll be a rich man even by NFL standards the next time he takes the field. There's likely a contract coming come May once they can negotiate. Let's talk about Anders Carlson. He was an issue all season. He stood over that 41-yard field goal, and you knew he was going to miss. At least I did. But my gut said this is not going in. And that, to me, tells me he's not good enough. I feel bad. He's a great kid.
Nicest kid in the world.
I have always enjoyed my conversations with Anders Carlson. I know he's been involved in the community as well in his first year in Green Bay. But you have to question whether or not he's the answer at that kicker spot. You would have sure loved old number 2 lining up over that one instead of Carlson.
Yeah, and LaFleur said at the podium after the game, what advice do you give to Anders Carlson right now? LaFleur said you just have to learn from it. I think absolutely the Packers have to go into next season with competition for Anders like they did this year.
At the very least, bring someone else in.
Right. And, you kind of, it's not just Anders Carlson's fault.
Snaps were bad, too.
Some of the snaps were bad, but it's also, this is on Rich Bisaccia. This is his guy, his hand-picked guy. Now, Carlson could turn out to be the best kicker ever here next year. And he just might be if you've seen the career trajectory of his brother.
Yeah.
His brother, top 3 kicker.
And the Vikings gave up on him, Daniel Carlson, too soon. He's gone on to have a great career with the Raiders.
Yes. The worrying thing is that Anders Carlson, if you include extra points and field goals, missed the most kicks out of any kicker this season. But I got a feeling he could bounce back, but it's just tough. Like you said, you don't know if you're ever going to get this opportunity again, where it felt like if they just win this game, their opportunity to win the next game was against a more inferior opponent than the San Francisco 49ers, and then you're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they messed up. I mean, they blew it. There's no sugarcoating.
And it's not all on Anders at all. And people are going to blame Anders. I don't put it on him. I don't put too much on him. But
I mean, if he makes the kick, it's obviously a different game. Probably a tie game at the end there. Love's not forcing that throw across the field.
Right.
Who knows? Maybe Shanahan goes for 2 after. I don't know. It's the butterfly effect.
Well, either
right?
way, Love's got to go make a play and get them into field goal position to try and win the game, and then Anders got to kick another field goal.
You don't know how the rest of the game is going to play out if he makes that kick, but obviously fair to say they're in a better situation.
Absolutely.
If that one goes through the uprights.
But the offense, they had their chances. So it's like Anders, they needed to be better inside the 25. I think at one point the Packers had 6 appearances inside San Francisco's 25-yard line. San Francisco had 0 inside the Packers' 25. Also, the brutal one was, I still love the play call, the 4th and 1, you go for it instead of kicking another field goal. It looked like he might have got it, might have got a bad spot. I think
spotting was terrible at times tonight.
Absolutely.
Terrible. The one that LaFleur had to challenge, he should not have to waste a challenge on that.
No.
It was one of the most brutal missed spots I've seen.
Every turnover on downs is reviewed.
Well, no, I'm talking about the one in the second half.
Oh,
though,
yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I know that other one was a booth review, but the one in the second half when Love so clearly got the first down.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that really had no bearing on the game, but still just frustrating.
Yeah, the Packers needed to go in and score touchdowns. You don't go in and try to upset a number 1 seed by kicking field goals. And they found themselves too many times when they got in the red zone, 2nd and 8, 2nd and 10. It felt like sometimes they kind of got away from Aaron Jones a little bit inside the red zone.
Let's talk about Aaron Jones.
Stud.
100-plus yards again, his 5th straight game, dating back to the Panthers game, which was his first game back from injury, if I'm not mistaken. I think this was the best stretch of his career. He's 29 years old. He's got 1 more year on his contract, but this is pretty much where we're at with running backs. They have it out in the contract where they could move on from him. I think that'd be silly, right? I mean,
yeah.
He's so important on and off the field. 33's got to be back next season.
Oh, absolutely. But I think they go into the draft this year and they're going to throw darts at three or 4 running backs.
Braylon Allen?
Braylon Allen, just like they did when they took.
Oh, hello. We're not done yet.
Just like when they took A.J. Dillon's, or just like when they took Jones and Jamal Williams in that one draft. I think they're going to throw darts at it, but I think they're going to have to do some cap navigating. And Jones's cap hit's enormous next year, probably one of the top in the NFL. But 5 straight rushing games with over 100 yards. He just looked like he found the fountain of youth in his rushing attack.
I think it's because he was fresh.
And he took a lot of burden off of Love, and he looked phenomenal, and I can't wait to see who they pair him with next year. That's no offense to A.J. Dillon. They could bring Dillon back pretty cheap next year, I think. But I think they need to find another 1-2 punch that's closer, it's more – a
little more juice.
A little more juice, exactly. Not to take anything away from Dillon. He can bang in there. He can get some good short yardage carries, but I think they need a guy who, when you take Jones off the field, is still dangerous back there. And Emmanuel Wilson had some good runs today. He'll be the number 2 running back until the draft, maybe.
I'm not sold on.
Yeah,
I think
he's a D2.
He runs too upright. We saw that at times tonight. I think he's got to get the pad level down a little bit. Doesn't quite have the side to side that. I mean, obviously Aaron Jones is a, great running back in this league. So it's not
one of the best Packer running backs of all time.
It's not really fair to compare somebody to Aaron Jones, but he doesn't have the same type of agility. Things like that you want to see in that kind of back. We'll see.
6 yards per carry tonight.
Well, and that big one at the end, that before the missed field goal, was mean, that was huge.
When you thought he was running that, you're like, oh, wow, they're going to go down and score and put this game away. Yep. And they didn't.
Yeah, the drive stalled out, which is something we saw too many times. First downs hurt them. They were in second and long too many times.
Yeah.
I don't know the stats. It's too fresh. We'd have to look that up.
Yeah. And LaFleur said that all season. They hated doing that, and it felt like every loss they had this season, they just got behind the sticks. They just couldn't get it done.
All right, rolling through some of these comments here below the post. We got a 49ers fan in there who's saying, who's your daddy, Packers fans?
Well, congratulations.
Somebody commented, get out of here. And everyone's welcome, but yeah, that guy can get out, right? A lot of positives, though. People say, Packers made it better than expected. It wasn't easy. I give the Packers credit. I'm excited about the future. So there's a lot of positive energy. I stand by, there's no guarantee they're back in this spot next year. I know we all think that, the way they finished, they're so young, they're only going to get better. If there's anything we've learned throughout the Aaron Rodgers era and into year one of Jordan Love, it's that you never know what's going to happen. Nothing is guaranteed. You're only going to get so many bites at the apple, and this was a bite at the apple that got away from them.
Well, just look at, like I said before we got up here, if you look at Cincinnati this year, that's a team that heading into this year, like, it could be Cincinnati, San Francisco in the Super Bowl this year, and then Joe Burrow goes down. We saw it many years where Rodgers gets hurt. You just don't know what's going to happen from year to year. And then after you pay Love his big money, which is going to take effect, I'm guessing, after next year. I don't know if they're going to put any money on that fifth year. But the cap space is going to get small because you paid Jordan. Luckily, they have all these young skill players on rookie deals, but they're going to need to use a lot of cap in the coming years to shore up the defense.
You've got 2 more years of Watson, 2 more years of Dobbs, 3 more years of Reed, 3 more years of Wicks. So there's time.
And Heath.
But I think like the window is here now. You know what I mean?
Time to go all in.
It's so funny how quickly we go from, this is, it's rebuilding. They're building for the future. They're a young team. Let's see how they progress, to now like the fun's over, right? Because you're going to go into next year. It's going to be Super Bowl or bust expectations.
Sky-high expectations.
So
absolutely.
I hope everybody enjoyed this ride where they exceeded expectations, because that's over now. And now the pressure's on. And now you've got this small window with these young receivers. You're not going to be able to sign all those guys when the time comes. That's just the way the NFL works. You're not going to be able to keep everybody around. And I know I'm looking 2, 3, 4 years down the road here, but we're taking the big picture view of this. Things have got to happen pretty quickly here.
It's a great problem to have, because then you could trade one of those guys for something. But, the window is now.
Isn't it weird, though, how quickly in 2 months we went from, this team, let's just let them grow, whatever, to now suddenly it's here. Now this has got to happen within the next couple of years.
And they only got to be at this point because of Jordan Love, because of the way Jordan Love has played.
He was the best quarterback in the league for a 1-month stretch.
Until the second half.
From Christmas Day, from Christmas Eve against Carolina to halftime tonight against the 49ers, there is no quarterback I'd rather have in the league than Jordan Love when he's playing like that.
If there's any debate that people are like, oh, Brock Purdy's better than Jordan Love, I think Jordan Love settled it tonight. He's still the better quarterback.
When it looked like the 49ers were going to lose, I was saying to you, the discourse on Brock Purdy after this is going to be brutal, because all the national talk shows are going to be saying system quarterback, he can't get it done, which is ridiculous because the guy threw for 30-plus touchdowns and 4,000-plus yards this year. You don't do that by accident.
Right.
But, man, he looked uncomfortable throughout most of that game tonight. Made a great throw to Jawan Jennings late in the game there. That was a backbreaker. I think that was on was that on a field goal drive, or was that
3rd and 10? I think it was on the scoring drive. It was the McCaffrey. It was on the scoring drive. Yeah, they converted 2 3rd and 10s to get there.
Yep.
You want to hate on Joe Barry's. Yeah, people were going to say, well, Joe Barry gives up 3rd and longs. I mean, that defense was gassed. They did all they could do, I think, in that game. That defense played great, besides some lapses in there.
All right, let's put a bow on this and get out of here. Get on with our Saturday nights, and I guess into the off season, because that's where we're at now. How do you grade this season? Year 1 for Jordan Love, year 5 for Matt LaFleur. They make the divisional round, have a good chance to win and advance to the NFC Championship, but let it get away late. All things considered, I know it's fresh right now, but how do you grade this season?
I grade it as an A+.
Woo!
Because all you wanted to know,
because
you found Jordan Love. That's all you wanted to know. And I grade it an A+ for Matt LaFleur for getting the youngest team in the league into the playoffs. And there were some stats out there where it was a guy who had a losing record, if he had 2 losing seasons in a row, he couldn't, the career trajectory for that coach couldn't bounce back. Well, he got this team into the playoffs, didn't have those 2 losing seasons in a row, and the potential is exciting. So I'm going to give an A+ to Love. I'll give an A to LaFleur because what he's done with especially the way the defense played early and just molding Love, it's a great season. It's a season I think I'll remember for the rest of my life.
It was fun. I'd put it up there with the run-the-table season in 2016. Had that same type of feel. Felt like the Super Bowl season at times during the last couple of weeks. Obviously, the difference here being this is Jordan Love's first season rather than what we knew what we already had in Aaron Rodgers at those times. I'm going to go A-. I'm with you. I respect the A+ because, again, if you put yourself back in October and think about where we were then compared to where we are now, it's special what they were able to do over the last couple of months. But like I said earlier, at some point they crossed that line from exciting young team who's exceeded expectations and is playing with house money to team that could have and probably should have advanced to the NFC Championship. And I got to ding them a little bit for the way the game ended tonight because, again, this was a team, they were a Super Bowl contender. They turned themselves into a Super Bowl contender, and they had a chance to advance, and they couldn't get it done. So I got to ding them a little bit for the way it ended. I'll go A-.
I like it. No matter what, it's a successful thing. If you brought that report card home to your mom, she's throwing it up on the refrigerator. I also give Brian Gutekunst an A+ too because this draft class.
Executive of the Year. This draft class looks like it could be one of the best of all time.
Exactly.
At least for the Packers. I don't have the historical wherewithal to compare it, to other draft classes throughout all of NFL history. But as somebody who's followed the Packers closely for 30 years, this is the best one I can remember.
Yeah, and it seems like, everybody's like, oh, well, maybe because of the first round. Lucas Van Ness is going to turn into a guy. What is he, 21, 22 years old?
He's still 21.
Still just 21 years old. Physical talent. I mean, this is a guy still growing into his body, and he's already one of the most physically gifted NFL players. I mean, this draft class. Gutekunst finally got over the 3rd-round hump. Tucker Kraft is a guy.
Yeah.
Luke Musgrave.
He's a dude, as they say.
Well, it's Lucas Van Ness, dog. Jaden Reed, dog. Luke Musgrave, dog. Malik Heath, undrafted free agent, dog.
Bo Melton, who was last year, not this year, but dog. Touchdown tonight for Bo.
Dontavian Wicks, dog.
Wicks could end up being the best of the bunch. But Brooks has been outstanding.
Carl Brooks, dog.
Yeah.
Carrington Valentine, dog.
Colby Wooden blocked the field goal tonight.
It's an impressive class.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I forgot about the blocked field goal.
So now this gets me excited for 3 months from now when we're sitting inside the visitors' locker room and we're talking about the Packers draft. It's going to be sky-high expectations for Brian Gutekunst in that front office. And you always hear what I find baffling, and I know this is getting a little off subject. We're on Facebook Live, so it's all right, is, there's a lot of interviews.
No time restrictions.
There's no time restrictions. There's a lot of guys being interviewed for jobs around the league in front offices. Why haven't you heard anything about John Eric Sullivan?
Yep.
Brian Gutekunst number 2, because it's not just Goody in there. It's a team. Mm-hmm. That's a guy who I think should be getting some recognition because clearly he can identify talent.
I'm going to leave us with this quote from Matt LaFleur that he said just a little bit ago in the post-game press conference. There's a lot of promise for the future, but nothing's guaranteed. And that's kind of my feeling right now, as I think I've made clear. There is excitement. They were great down the stretch. There's a lot of young talent. There's a quarterback who looks like he's going to be an MVP candidate for years to come if he plays like he did for that 8-game stretch toward the end of the season. But you just don't know.
Nope.
You just don't know.
You don't know, but I'm excited to see how it turns out.
I am too. And I think they did a lot of good things this year. I think Matt LaFleur should be Coach of the Year. I mean, he's not going to win it. D'Amico Ryans from Houston, Kevin Stefanski from Cleveland, probably be those guys. But with the turnaround that he engineered, the play calling, the play design, the Bo Melton touchdown was beautiful. The setup was so perfect. That was a scheme-em-up touchdown, pitch and catch for Love to Melton. I don't know, I guess, that it was LaFleur that designed that play. It could have been Stenovich. It could have been Jason Vrabel. It could have been
John Dunn. It's always John Dunn, I feel like.
Any one of those offensive guys. But, man, was that a beautiful. LaFleur was in his bag, as the kids say, toward the end of the season.
He coached good enough that they should have won.
Yeah.
But you know what? Now it's time for those guys to learn. And he said in the locker room, he told those guys, now in the offseason, you have to attack it like you're going to go win a Super Bowl.
Jordan Love rolls, scrambles. It's third and 1 early in the fourth quarter. Jordan Love scrambles, has Aaron Jones open kind of across his body for what would have been a first down. If he makes that throw, the Packers win the game.
I think so, too. It felt like all they had to do was complete it. What were they, inside the 50 of the 49ers?
Right around midfield, yeah. All right, let's wrap things up here. We'll let you all get on with your Saturday night. Go watch SNL. I have no idea who those two people are who are on SNL tonight, but my wife was trying to explain it to me. I don't know. I don't know celebrities, but that show's funny. I think Weekend Update's hitting right about now, so that's always good. Go watch Saturday Night Live. Try to take your mind off the Green Bay Packers and look forward to a promising future, because even though I'm a little more negative than him right now, I still think the future's very promising.
Yeah, don't think too much about Anders Carlson.
Not negative. I'm real, right?
I've been real.
Yeah.
I try to keep it
real. You were real, too. Outstanding season for the Green Bay Packers, no matter where you slice it.
It's been a great ride.
Now it starts. Now you go into next year. You better win the division at the very least, and it's going to be Super Bowl expectations.
Right. It'll be really exciting to hear. LaFleur will have his press conference either tomorrow or Monday. Gutekunst will have his end-of-season press conference this week as well, or at least last year they did it after the last game of the season the same week. So we're going to hear from those guys, and I can guarantee there's going to be some tough questions asked. Joe Barry's going to be covered. We're going to have all that covered for you right here on NBC 26.
Yeah, the fun's not over. We'll cover it all throughout the rest of the week, and then we will head into the offseason. The draft is only, 3 months away?
3 months away. I've already been listening to all the podcasts. You better bet your sweet butt on it.
I will say there is nobody in the Green Bay local media that pays attention to the NFL draft more than John Miller. So we hope to see you here for our draft coverage once April rolls around. All right, that's going to do it for us here. Again, a Packers loss, another heartbreaking finish, but a lot of promise for the future.